My name is Cheryl Levy, and Larry and I are honored to be asked to start this off. Now, I happen to be a storyteller, and I'm in the schools a lot, and we are going to begin with an African tribal welcome. Would you please put your hand and touch the person's hands next to you? Okay, there we go. Just like they're demonstrating. Okay? All right, there we go. That looks good. Touching hands and repeat after me. Fungalafia. Ase, ase. Fungalafia. Ase, ase. With my thoughts, I welcome you. With my words, I welcome you. With my heart, I welcome you. See, I have no weapons. And now we will begin by having Sarah Smith have you stand, face the flag in the back, and Sarah is going to lead us in the national anthem.
I'm just going to take it right out of the thing. Oh, good idea. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That's no good. Four people have agreed to speak on behalf of Sarah. One at a time, we're going to call them up here, and hand the microphone to them. Our first speaker is Christine Gregg. I'll tell you a little bit about Christine. Representative Gregg is the House Democratic leader and represents Michigan's 37th district, which comprises Farmington and Farmington Hills. Representative Gregg is focused on people-centered policies and an agenda that builds opportunities for all Michiganders. Gregg has actively served on several boards, including the Michigan PTA, Let America Vote, and the Mathematics Pentathlon Institute. Her numerous awards and recognitions include 2017 Sander M. Levin Elected Official of the Year and the 2018 College Democrats Legislator of the Year. Representative Gregg earned a bachelor's degree in American Studies and Computer Applications from the University of Notre Dame. She and her husband Bob have lived in Farmington Hills for 28 years and have three sons, Andy, Alex, and Bill. Let's welcome Christine Gregg to the microphone.
My name is Chris Gregg, and I got to tell you, when I met Sarah last year, I knew she was the real deal. Do you agree? Absolutely. And coming here tonight, too, reminds me a lot of how I grew up. I'm one of 12 kids. And, you know, it was all about us working together as a family and as a community. And when I met Sarah and really got to know her and just heard her areas of passion and what she wanted to work on, it was very, very clear that family and community was also at the center of her work and her calling. And I got to tell you, we need more people like that in Lansing. Don't you think? You know, growing up with all those brothers and sisters, you know, my parents couldn't afford to send us to college, but it was that really strong public education system and those fantastic teachers that helped us have that great foundation so that we could go on to college through scholarships and Pell Grants and low-interest student loans. And you know what? That is missing today. So many families are struggling for their kids to be able to go on to whatever they see their path is. Or they want to go right into the workforce and start these great paying jobs, have an apprenticeship with a union. But we've had constant attacks on everyday working people. And that's what Sarah's working hard for, to put people back in the center of all our policies, whether that's education or healthcare, great paying jobs. That's what's going to move us forward in Michigan. And it's going to take every single one of us to do that. We have to keep having these conversations about our families, about our future, about our hopes for those futures. And I can't think of anyone better than Sarah to get to Lansing, to start having those conversations with everyone in the State House and saying, you know, this is what it's like in Midland. What's it like in your community? And find that common ground and work on policies that lift everybody up and make us all proud of the communities that we come from and want to share that prosperity across this entire state. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and she's going to need every single one of you to help her get to Lansing. And I need to count on you to knock those doors, have those conversations, continue to support her financially by coming to these events, and make the change that we need in Michigan by sending Sarah Schulz to Lansing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Gregg. My notes also say, and this is what it says, remind people to donate. So consider that a reminder. I suspect that just about all of you who turned out tonight probably at one time or another have sent something Sarah's way. And obviously important for her as she begins the campaign, the confidence she can have, knowing that she's got a foundation of some substance there that she can rely on. So I thought I'd say something about that. And Cheryl will introduce our next speaker.
Our next speaker is Umbreen Jamil. Umbreen and her husband, Khaled, and their 4 wonderful children, especially the little guy, are Midland residents. Born and raised in Akron, Ohio, Midland has been Umbreen's home for almost 20 years now. Umbreen is a stay-at-home mom, although I don't think she's home very much because she's so busy. I get to editorialize. Along with being a community activist, she serves on the board for the Midland County Foster Closet, the Midland Area Interfaith Friends Group, and is heavily involved with the Islamic Center of Midland and the Muslim Youth of Mid-Michigan. Please welcome her to the stage.
Sarah, for giving me the opportunity to speak today at the kickoff. When Sarah Schulz asked me to speak, she asked that I share with you my wishes for our Midland community. What do I wish for our community in the days and years ahead? I think, like many of us here today, I wish for a safe, secure Midland where I can raise my kids, affordable health care, good and well-funded public schools, job security, a viable and sustainable infrastructure, appropriate gun laws that keep us and our kids safe. This is what most of us yearn for as we look into the future. But as a Muslim American, I would be dishonest if I didn't share with you my most pressing concern at this time, and that is the sharp rise of Islamophobia. Fear, hatred, and prejudice against the religion of Islam and the people who adhere to it, Muslims like me, is called Islamophobia. Islamophobia has been present for quite some time, but the xenophobia and racism against Muslims and other minorities has significantly increased under the current administration. Muslim places of worship have been targeted, on average 9 a month. Some have been desecrated, others burned to the ground. Muslims have been verbally and physically abused and attacked. Muslim women have been assaulted, their head coverings pulled off. I myself was told to go back to my country at our local Midland Walmart. And Muslims have been murdered here in the United States of America simply because of their faith. Unfortunately, it is no coincidence that the rise of Islamophobia has strengthened with the election of Donald Trump into the office of the presidency. In March of 2016, candidate Donald Trump said, "I think Islam hates us," during an interview with Anderson Cooper. He simply and quite easily lumped together almost 1/4 of the world's population and demonized all Muslims, demonized me, demonized my kids, as the enemy of this country. His strategy for unifying Americans was to scapegoat Muslims by using an us versus them tactic, the other, forgetting, or should I say intentionally ignoring, the fact that 3.5 million Americans are Muslims. And contrary to what Trump may believe, I am a Muslim American, and I do not hate my country. With that being said, I would like to share a personal experience with all of you today. The day after Trump's Muslim ban went into effect, January 28, 2017, the Islamic Center of Midland received a phone call. I happened to be the one who answered the call. There was a beautiful soul on the other end of the line, someone who was quite distraught with the impending consequences of the executive order that the president had signed the day before. Someone who had never actually met anyone from the Islamic Center here in Midland, nor interacted with any Muslims in the community. Someone whose only purpose in calling was to offer love and support and to reach out to her fellow Muslim Americans. That person was, of course, Sarah Schulz. We spoke for a bit. She asked how she and the women's group could support the Muslim community in Midland. "What can we do?" she repeatedly asked. I have to be honest, I was caught off guard. I don't think anyone within the Muslim community expected such a phone call from anyone. After our conversation, I gave some deep thought to Sarah's question, what can we do? And within a day, our local Muslim community had decided that what they wanted more than anything was to come together in love and solidarity with our greater Midland community. So we began some intense preparations to host a meet and greet at the Islamic Center of Midland. And just 1 week later, on Sunday, February 5th, we, the Muslims of Midland, were completely and joyously overwhelmed with the show of love and support we received at the Islamic Center. Sarah's phone call truly set in motion a coming together of humanity. Close to 500 people came to the center to be with us, while many more never made it inside because they just couldn't find any parking. Most of our visitors that day had never been to the Islamic Center. Most had never interacted with the local Muslim community. But what brought them to the Islamic Center that day was a belief in our shared humanity, a belief that we all belong to one human family. And when things get difficult, families come together to support each other. What we all witnessed that day was a very bright silver lining in a very dark, ugly cloud. New friendships were made that continue to bloom this day. So when you ask me, what do I wish for our community in the days and years ahead? Well, I wish for a community that embraces diversity, in which all people, all faiths, races, ethnicities coexist peacefully. I wish for a community in which my kids do not have to see the ugly face of Islamophobia. I wish for a community that values each and every human being. And for all of this to occur, I wish for a leadership like Sarah's. A leadership that is moral, humble, hardworking, and represents all of us. A leadership that is willing to listen to us, learn from us, and work for us, so that we may indeed achieve our goal of liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
This is what makes America great. Now, I have a couple other announcement type things before I introduce our next speaker. Over on the table there, the Beckwiths are supervising this wonderful community art project. So be sure you get over there. It's got yarn, and you're going to have your names around the side, and it's going to be hanging in Sarah's office in Lansing. The other thing that I am to announce is the end of signatures. If we get all the signatures to put Sarah on the ballot. So please take note of that. And now I have the honor of introducing Ayanna Haynes. Ayanna and her husband, Leonard, have lived in Midland for over 20 years. Their 4 children have either graduated from Midland Public Schools or are currently attending. Ayanna had an in-home daycare for 16 years and is a life skill coach who works with Children's Protective Services. She is currently in a nursing school at the U of M Flint. So welcome this woman who is a very busy lady, but a very committed person to our community and to others.
To remind Sarah. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Before I start, my daughter wants to remind Sarah that she appreciates you and to tell everyone else that she wishes to be here, but she is away attending her first year at college. So now let me begin. I am Ayana Haynes, a Midland resident of 24 years and a mother of 4 beautiful children. Raising a Black family in Midland has its challenges. I remember being followed around the store while shopping for diapers. I remember when my husband was denied pain medication for a toothache because the tech did not recognize the name of the dentist. My children realized at a young age that they were different from everyone else. They have been called derogatory names, made fun of because of their hair, and teased with racial stereotypes. They often felt like objects being observed. My daughter wanted to bring light to the injustices that people like us have to face both nationally and locally, such as blatant racism and profiling. She and another classmate decided to organize a national anthem protest. She was fueled with passion and motivated by everyone telling them not to carry on with it. But they had faith in Sarah's help and continued to go on with it. This decision was met with a lot of resistance and threats to our daughter and her classmates. Sarah eased the stress and concern that we faced as parents. She trained my daughter and her classmates on how to have nonviolent protests. She organized a team of people to help with rides to and from the protests. During the protests, Sarah and her team provided security. Sarah was a guiding light, and I know that the protest was successful because of Sarah and her team. So I thank you guys. Throughout the process, Sarah showed not only a commitment to higher values, but a willingness to stick her neck out and fight for what was right. She has shown her vision in our community, one that comes together with respect and understanding to grow together and be better. I believe that Sarah's representation will continue to grow and learn in this community. Sarah stepped up and helped my daughter bring light to injustices in this community. My daughter's motto, by what she lives by, is lift as you climb. and she truly believes that Sarah exhibits that quote. My daughter is blessed to have been seen, heard, and supported by Sarah. Who are we, Midland? Will we be a community that will step up like Sarah? Let's be a community that will embrace change. Let's stand with Sarah. Thank you.
Our fourth speaker, I'm pleased to introduce, is Brian Elder. Representative Elder is serving as the Democratic Vice Chair on the Agricultural Committee, is a member of the Judiciary Committee, the Michigan Law Revision Commission, and is the Chair and co-founder of the Michigan Legislative Labor Caucus. Mr. Elder has practiced law in mid-Michigan since 1998, representing dozens of municipalities over his career, as well as labor unions, union members, and individuals in the areas of estate planning and elder law. Representative Elder served 8 years as a Bay County Commissioner, where his favorite accomplishment as a county commissioner may be the creation of Central Bark, Bay County's only dog park. Mr. Elder lives in Bay City and is married to Susan, a German teacher in the Bay City Public Schools, where his 3 children also attend. Let's welcome Brian Elder.
To come and speak tonight. I was very, very honored, and then I was very tickled because she said, "You get to pick your own walk-up music." I said, "Outstanding. Have you heard of the Dropkick Murphys?" It is great to see so many people out here tonight, and it's great to see this sea of purple. My wife is a teacher at Bay City Central High School. I've got my oldest son graduated from there last year. This gives me an opportunity to wear my purple, even though it's not a game night. And I just want to thank Sarah very much for having me come here. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Sarah Schulz that I came to know on the election, the campaign trail last year. Now, I'm sure that there are lots of reasons to be supportive of Sarah. She's an incredibly intelligent person, a really hard worker, and she has this positivity that just absolutely emanates from her. She's an easy person to like, isn't she? Right. All of that is incredibly true, but I've got a secret. I have a little extra reason to like Sarah Schulz, because it turns out that, like myself, she's an auto worker's kid from Flint. And that means we have certain shared values, because Sarah and I grew up in a community which raised families to understand the nobility of labor and the dignity that there is in all honest work. We raised families to center on community, because the community was the workplace of raising those families that we worshiped and thought of constantly. It means that Sarah and I grew up in a place where my political hero, Congressman Dale Kildee, used to give a speech about the floor of human decency. And he used to say that here in America, we do not guarantee outcomes, but we can and we should guarantee opportunity. We do not guarantee that every American will become rich, but we can and we should guarantee that floor of human decency so that every human being, every mother, every father, every child can have a decent life, because that is the greatness of America, and that is something worth fighting for. Now, I'm sure that as the campaign wore on, all of you, like myself, we were so incredibly proud of Sarah. She worked an amazing campaign, and she made a lot of believers out of folks that had started out as skeptics. And at the end of that campaign, one thing was true, one thing was clear, that was not an end. It was just a beginning of this election cycle. Now, has everyone been watching the political disaster going on over in Britain? Okay, it's good. It's like our friends the British saw our poor troubles and said, cheer up, old boy, hold my gin. And so last week, the Prime Minister of Britain had a meltdown in the middle of Parliament and began threatening members of his own party. And it turns out that in the next election, all of those conservative ministers will be barred from running for office from that party. Now, they can do that in Britain because in Britain, party politics is what is most important. It is the party that controls every politician. Not so here in the United States. The next woman who represents the 98th district will be truly your representative. And as your representative, she will be called upon to work on your problems, regardless of party, to help you with your aspirations, regardless of party, and to vote her conscience and her district regardless of party. Isn't it a great thing to be an American? I can think of no person better qualified and better able to represent the people of this great district than my friend Sarah Schulz. What I need you to do, every single person here, I need all of you to commit to this fight and to help Sarah every single day. It's an easy job because all you've got to do is tell Sarah's story. And it's a hell of a story because she's a hell of a person. And the more you do that, the more the voters of this district understand that she's not a politician, that she is putting the people over politics, that they can have a true representative, not someone that falls into party line. I am convinced that I will have a neighbor to my west down in Lansing fighting for Mid-Michigan values and for all of you. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to announce another announcement. At the end of this, Sarah's speech, there's going to be a dance party. And I see some of my Zumba friends here, and I hope maybe they'll play that song by, is it Beyonce or J-Lo or somebody, Let's Get Loud? Because I want everybody to go out of here, dancing or not, thinking, let's get loud for Sarah. So start contacting your friends in Auburn, and I've already made a list to host coffees for her. We've got to get her known in the out district, in this gerrymander district. So make a list of all the people you know out there and get them to host coffees for her. Got that? Let's get loud. And now Larry is going to talk about Sarah.
Yes.
Sarah, come forward.
Sarah, why don't you please join us? Would you join us now? say a few words about why we support Sarah. I think it's been said very well by the four speakers so far, but I will say this, that certainly I understand what so many of them are saying. My elders came to this country from another country where they were not welcome. I grew up understanding that and appreciating America very much because of that. But we live in a time now where so many elected officials, from the White House to the Senate Majority Leader to our local state rep, are what I would call exclusive and excluding. It's not good enough, and it's not American. We met Sarah when she came to our house to meet us and to meet some of our friends and neighbors. It was very clear, very quickly in the evening, that Sarah wishes to be inclusive and including. She draws a larger circle. Her neighborhood includes the entire district and beyond. And beyond this vision, there are just so many personal qualities that I find in Sarah that I'm sure you do too. There is such obvious intelligence. She is genuine, feet on the ground. She is honest. She has integrity, unquestioned. She has humility. And I would say, as much as anything that we look for nowadays and find wanting in so many elected officials, she has decency. She has civility. She has a desire to serve all constituents, as she says over and over and over again. So this is what we need to push for, these qualities, and we fortunately have them in this person. So Sarah, the podium is yours.
Did you say the line about mother?
Oh, right. Cheryl told me I should say this. And even though I did all the talking there, I want you all to know Mother agrees with me.
This is amazing. This is a sea of purple. It's like a family reunion, right? Isn't it fun? So, first of all, I just want to thank everyone for coming. This mic is falling. So, getting ready for this event, we did a lot of reflection on the last time we kicked off a campaign, right? 2018. Who was there? Woo! You know, that night I was hoping that 80 people would come. And I was told, Sarah, you should be happy if 50 people come. And so when I got up on the stage to give my remarks and looked out and saw over 200 people there, I was shocked and thrilled. It literally took my breath away. It was the first indication of just how important our effort was and how much it meant to so many people. So here we are again with another launch. And this time when we were planning, we said, oh, we got to get a bigger venue. And then somebody on the team said, well, the mall is a big venue. They joked, let's rent the mall. And we said, haha, you can't rent the mall. And then we did. And you all came again. I tried to do a quick head count, and I'm estimating over 300 people are here tonight. So let me start, as we always do, with gratitude. Thank you. Thank you to the core team of folks who put in so many hours on this event and all throughout last year and never stopped. Thank you to those of you who showed up at the last campaign kickoff and kept showing up all throughout the 2018 campaign. And thank you to those of you who are showing up for the first time tonight. I am so deeply grateful because together we moved a mountain in 2018, didn't we? So just to remind you, because I like to remind you, we surprised the entire state by getting 48% of the vote in 2018. My favorite, we won the City of Midland in 2018. And we gained ground everywhere else. We did not lose ground in one single precinct. And we moved our district from a 20-point spread to a 4-point spread. And as always, the collective actions of a dedicated group of people became far more powerful than one person and one idea. And that shared desire to make the 98th district the very best it can be is what brings us all here again tonight. And here's our secret. Are you ready for our secret? We are so much stronger than we were at the last kickoff. So much. We are wiser, for sure. We know more. We have more resources, more time, and believe it or not, we have more energy than we did at the last kickoff. And we're going to take that energy and that wisdom and gain a victory in 2020. So, who's fired up? Who's fired up? Well, I'm fired up too, and that's why I'm so very excited to officially say that I am running to be your representative in Lansing. So to introduce myself again, I am the daughter, granddaughter, and great-granddaughter of UAW auto workers, and like Representative Elder said, I was born and raised in Flint. Go Flint. During my youth, I saw that great city fall into some despair. And when I was 16, my Uncle Kevin was tragically killed when 5 young people who were robbing a party store shot him as they fled. People often ask me why I decided to do this work, and every time they do, my uncle's smile comes to mind. That event lit a spark in me that I've carried around since I was 16 years old. At first, it was this ember of anger deep inside, quick to spark any time I heard about more senseless violence or more people struggling to make ends meet. But eventually, that flame evolved into a deep sense of responsibility to do whatever I could to stop tragedies like that from happening to other families. That singular moment in my life has had a massive role in everything, in my career path, in the jobs that I took, in the decisions that I made, and now the journey that I am on here once again, and this time with all of you. It's a journey to serve our community, to help restore the middle class, and to heal a society where we've become so very broken. Because I've come to understand that our family was not the only family that suffered a loss that day. As a society, we failed those 5 young people in that party store. And in total, six families suffered an imaginable loss that day. So I've tried to live my life and focus my career in service to them, to all of them, to give those 5 young people a chance to have a life that doesn't bring them to that party store in that chilly May parking lot in 1993. And to give young fathers like my uncle a chance to live their lives without fear of tragedy falling on them. So that's why I've spent the last 19 years of my career working in mission-driven organizations, doing what they can do to make the world a little better. So I see becoming your representative in Lansing and representing all of Michigan as an extension of that life's work. And you know also that I'm a mid-Michigander through and through. My childhood summers were spent on Wixom Lake. It's the lake that's fed by the very Tittabawassee River that flows under the Tridge here in Midland. And my family looked forward to the Midland County Fair every year. I walked this very mall many times as a teenager in my acid-washed jeans, ratted-up hair, and Sony Walkman. My husband, Andrew, and I went to Michigan State. Go Green. So here's where I usually mention that for the sake of compromise that Andrew got his master's degree from U of M, so go Blue. Though I consider myself a lifelong Michigander, in our 20s, as newlyweds, Andrew and I moved to New York City because we wanted to see a bit more of the world. We wanted to gain a broader perspective. And boy, did we. I can remember hearing 5 languages being spoken around me on the subway. I can remember the uplifting joy and celebration and pride of the New York City Pride March. I remember meeting the first Muslim person that I would eventually call friend and having dinner with the first trans person ever. We lived in that city for 5 years, and our kids were born there. It was transformational, but in 2009, when the kids were 1 and 2, the recession hit us very hard, and I lost my job. We tried, didn't we try? We tried to live for a bit longer in that city as a family of 4 on 1 public school teacher's salary in the most expensive city in the country. But we eventually decided that it was time to move home to raise our kids in the great state that we grew up in, near our family. So Andrew and I and our 2 babies, who are both in diapers, moved here to an old single-wide trailer home that about 20 miles north of here on Wixom Lake that we had mortgaged years before. It was the recession, so we were very underwater on our mortgage, and we didn't have jobs yet. So we had no other option than to live in the trailer that was literally falling down around us. The well on the trailer went out, and we lost running water. The roof leaked, the walls were growing mold, and the windows barely kept out the cold. Now, you might think that this is a story from a long time ago, but this was 2010. We lived there until October, when one morning I found that the glass of water that I had put on my bedside table at night had ice on the top in the morning. And we knew it was time to find somewhere else to live, and thank God my cousin let us live in her house for the rest of the winter. But here's the thing I want you to know about this story. This isn't a story about us pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps and overcoming our challenges by our own blood, sweat, and tears. No, this is a story of a young family who needed help and got it. From help getting water to fixing the trailer roof that leaked right over one of the cribs, to making communal dinners with our extended family, to donated childcare so we could drive all over the state for interviews, to enrolling the kids in My Child insurance so at least they would be covered, to using the North Midland Family Center food bank to gifts of secondhand clothes and diapers and gas cards. We could not have done it without our community. Our community gave us the space to get back on our feet, and without them, we absolutely could not be where we are. And let's make no mistake, this need is still here in our community. You might be surprised at how often I hear about lost jobs, low wages, mounting healthcare debt, and food insecurity. We have a homeless population here in Midland that we often don't recognize. Families with moms and young children hopping from friends' couches to temporary housing to cars and then back again to couches. And countless other families who are living on the ragged edge of homelessness, holding it all together like a handful of sand, and one trip to the doctor, one fender bender, or other unplanned expense can throw them right over the edge. These wonderful neighbors, full of love and hope and complexity, are a valuable part of our community. And it helps us all to make sure that each of them reach their full potential. So whenever I get the pure joy and blessing of serving someone else, I always say, thank you. Thank you for allowing me the joy of helping you. Helping others is my way of repaying those who helped us. So that safety net was there for us, and I want to make sure that it's there for other families when they need it to bring them through hard times. That's why I'm such a supporter of organizations like the Bridge Food Center and the Diaper Alliance and Shelter House and the food banks right here in our community. And I'm a big supporter of making sure everyone in Michigan has access to quality health care, can live on the wages that they earn by their own labor, and has excellent education in our public schools to provide them a solid foundation in life. And that's why I'm such a proponent of community. This community that helped my family get back on its feet 9 years ago, and that helps each other and this campaign every single day. So for me, it's all about community. So let's hear it if our community has helped you or someone you love. Let's hear it if you are ready to work with each other to build an even better community. That's what it's all about. Our secret recipe for success is us. It's each other. Look around. Go ahead, look. This is the team, all 300 of us. This is the team that will take us to victory in the 98th in 2020. So earlier I mentioned that I meandered these halls and stores as a teenager. During those heydays, every store was open in the mall, and it was always bustling with activity. On our way home to Flint from Wixom Lake, it was our family's tradition to come to the Midland Mall on Labor Day weekend to get that last bit of back-to-school shopping in. And my family and I stopped here last Monday to do the same thing. But now malls are changing everywhere as our society changes how we shop, how we connect, and how we live our lives. The malls of today can be a community resource in a different way. For example, an indoor space to hold events like this. Right? If we can be creative about what we have, then we can meet more of the needs of our community. If we can work together and see things in different ways than we're used to, then we can find new and even better perspectives and resources that were here all along. Some may say this mall is the symbol of the past. But I think it can be a symbol of growth and transition, of taking something that we're used to seeing one way and seeing it in a new way and opening up new possibilities. Sort of like our campaign in 2018, when the work that we did together caused so many people to see the district in different ways. So many people looked at our community and their voting choices and chose to vote differently than they ever have before. Some might call that change and point out that change is hard, but I call it progress, and progress is always worth it. And like the mall, we don't have to bulldoze everything over and start again to make progress. We just need to see things differently, see each other differently. And part of seeing things differently is realizing a common vision. So this is the purplest party in the district on purpose. Can you say that 5 times fast? As many of you know, I chose purple as our color for 3 reasons. First, I'm honoring my dear grandmother. She was a strong woman whose favorite color was purple. Second, it was one of the colors of the suffrage movement. How special is it that 2020 will be 100 years since the 19th Amendment was ratified? And third, as you know, it's the combination of red and blue, and a symbol and a strong reminder that we can work together. If we value relationships and conversations, even maybe especially over disagreements, that it is possible to have progress that benefits all of us. I have listened to thousands of people in our district, and no matter their political party, one thing stands out more than anything else. We agree so much more than we disagree. And that's why I got into this race, because I'm tired of the fighting and the attacks and the polarization. That's not leadership, and it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be us versus them. We don't have to make false choices on either extreme ends of every issue. Government doesn't have to be a zero-sum game where one side wins only if another side loses. I'm so very tired of the polarization, aren't you? I think it's past time to put people over politics, because the people I know are so over politics. Because Most of us agree that life-saving prescription drugs should be affordable and available to the people who need them, and we should stop letting big pharma get richer while our grandmothers are rationing their insulin and our kids go to school with expired EpiPens. Am I right? Because most of us agree that we need universal background checks to keep firearms out of the hands of dangerous people. And we need red flag laws so that we can remove firearms from people who become dangerous. And it's actually possible to do all of this while maintaining the right of responsible gun owners to own guns responsibly. Am I right? Because most of us agree that investing in high-quality public education should be our highest priority. It's not only about the students of today, it's about all of our future. Am I right? Because most of us agree that low unemployment is hardly mission accomplished. Right? Because people need more than low-paying, dead-end jobs. They need good jobs, like union jobs, with wages that families can actually live on, that offer them stability and the flexibility that they need to live their best lives. Am I right? Because most of us agree that our earth is the legacy that we will leave to our children and grandchildren, and it is our supreme responsibility to leave them a world that they can live and prosper in. And I cannot believe that this is even still a debate. Am I right? I believe that engaging in our democracy is one of the most patriotic and idealistic things that we can do. I believe that running for any public office, volunteering for a campaign, voting, and coming to this event tonight means that we in this room believe that it is actually possible to make things better. We all have high hopes for a future where our leaders see their work as a sacred service to their community. We have high hopes for a community that comes together to lift each other up. We have high hopes for a government that works for its people to create jobs, stable futures, and excellent education. And we have high hopes that when we leave this room tonight, the work we will continue to do together will make our district and our state the very best it can be. I have high hopes. Do you? What do we have? What do we have? High hopes.